from where we left off. And I now give the floor to the Honorable Chili Lakuma to ask a question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to ask question 111 of 2017, and the question is forwarded to the Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation. The question is, can the Minister inform this House on the progress of the 2017 National Women's Expo preparation? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, and I give the floor to the Honorable Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The 2017 National Women's Expo, which will be held at the Vodafone Arena from the 14th to the 16th of June, was initiated back in 2014, Madam Speaker, under your leadership. It's basically an initiative with the aim of connecting rural women to markets. For the 2017 Women's Expo, the Ministry has thus far finalized the provincial craft shows, from where we select women who will represent their communities and their provinces to the Expo in June. There will be a total of 500 rural women from the various provinces that will be represented at the Women's Expo. The selection of these women was done by the Fiji Arts Council for artifacts and the Ministry of Health for food preparations. So thus far, after the craft shows, Madam Speaker, the Ministry is working with stakeholders, both government, non-government as well, in preparing for the logistics for the upcoming National Women's Expo. Again, Madam Speaker, the main aim behind this is the empowerment, economic empowerment of women and connecting them to markets. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Sarah.
Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for your explanation, and I applaud the initiative. But for a more sustainable approach, can the Minister explain what development partners or business partners have been engaged to work with this women's group to access international markets for their products? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, as I stated, the main aim is connecting women to markets. You would have, in initiating this, it was obvious that there was evidence that there was a lack of marketing of rural women's products. There are a lot of women out there who are producing artifacts that can be sold nationally and internationally as well, but it's the marketing that was the issue here. So sustainability of these markets, yes, the Ministry is currently working very hard at looking at a model that will be sustainable for these women. The annual Women's Expo is, like I said, an annual event. It's once a year. It's started, this is the third one, and we're already working towards a long-term strategy. What is that? We're looking right now at putting together a catalog, first of all, to catalog the products that are being produced by these women, particularly those that will be represented at the Women's Expo. What happens after the Women's Expo? First of all, it will be just through social media, Facebook being a very powerful tool for marketing these days. And of course, longer term, we are already speaking with the National Marketing Authority if there is any potential there, and also standalone marketing of rural women's products. We've started talks as well with the Center for Integrated Development for the Asia-Pacific region to look at models in other Asia-Pacific countries that have been successful, been seen as successful. So, yes, Madam Speaker, long-term strategy, that's what we're doing at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Politini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Supplementary question. Can the Honourable Minister inform this August House on some of the benefits this initiative will have for these women participating in the Expo? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Benefits, Madam Speaker. For starters, some of these women have never had an opportunity to sell what they're making to customers. Here in Suva, that will be an opportunity. It's also an opportunity to have their products recognized as Fijian made, Fijian crafted. That licensing is done in conjunction with the Ministry of Industry and Trade. From 2015, a total of around 43 women have been licensed as Fijian-made, Fijian-crafted products. So that is another benefit that will come out of this. Apart from that, there will be side events around the expo itself with the general theme of economic empowerment of women. That, again, is an opportunity for training for women, capacity building, and to get them to see what else is available out there by way of marketing and quality standards for their products. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Vande.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I welcome the initiative by the Minister, but my question is whether there are protections of tangible and intangible artifacts to not only on the economic the benefits, but the benefit of protecting the artifacts in the protection in the intellectual property rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
I think, Madam Speaker, the honourable member might be referring to the protection of traditional knowledge. That is something that can be addressed with the Ministry of Itauke, which I'm sure is also looking at that matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Kilaraki.
Supplementary question, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary question.
This is in regards to South Pacific business development for women, and the Honourable Minister was a guest to open during the annual celebrations at the Vodafone Arena. My question is, does this SPBD also will be included into this expo? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, SPBD is also a stakeholder in preparations for the National Women's Expo. They are critical in that they are an institution that provides finance to rural women for income-generating projects. With that aim in mind, they sure do complement what we do at the Ministry, and along with other financial institutions as well. There's Westpac and BSP that does financial literacy training for women at the various, as a standard operation of the Ministry, and also in conjunction with the National Women's Expo. Madam Speaker, evidence shows that access of women to finance is an issue that is prevalent not only nationally but internationally as well. SPBD is one of those institutions that harnesses this aim and delivers on the aim of financial inclusion for women, particularly from rural areas. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Politao.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question to the Honourable Minister. You know, some of the problems that are faced by women is the transportation. We're talking about women from as far as Undu Point coming to Lambasa, the economic centers, and those are the costs that are associated. But when they come to a National Women's Expo, they bring artifacts. And sometimes it's not sold, and it's kept. And probably when it's sold, then the money is transferred to them. And they've been facing difficulties in the late payment that is coming. Is there, measures in place in order to improve, the sale of their artifacts and them receiving the money on time when it's collected here in Suva after the expo?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I think the Honourable Member is talking again about marketing of women's products. That was the whole essence of what I've been talking about here. As for the transport of these ladies, that cost is borne by government for this particular initiative. And we are also looking at ways that the Expo can sustain itself in the years to come. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Prem Singh.
Thank the Minister for her response. The Expo, National Women's Expo, this is the third year going. What are the lessons learned and what are the challenges that continue to be faced by women?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Lessons learned, Madam Speaker. all good lessons. It's an initiative that I think has really achieved the initial aim of connecting women to markets, and also to, first of all, just exposing women to what's out here in the urban centers, and ways in which they can tap into untapped markets. We are talking about rural women who can now produce for hotels, for the tourism market. We have a market here nationally before we even think about international markets. And that is something that we are honing in on. The national markets, first of all. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Wabillaman Awaka.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. If I could just add my concern to what was expressed by my colleague, Honorable Bandi. In the events, a company or a buyer comes along and likes one of the motives of what the lady is producing, which could be unique to the region. What would be the protection? What would be the process for that lady to have her motive, which would be an intellectual right, to come under protection? Is there a way that there's legal assistance given to the person? And be mindful of the fact that the Fiji Airways motive created a lot of controversy because it belonged to some people, I believe, in Taviuni, and in Lau, I think, and it created a lot of controversy that it was not obtained legally. So is there a provision from governments to provide backing to the women in the event somebody wants to use one of their motives on their products? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Again, Madam Speaker, traditional knowledge, that is something that the Ministry of Itauke Affairs, they have a unit that actually mapping all these products and which region they're peculiar to. I do know that there is a draft law on traditional knowledge and protection of that that is being mooted within the ministry. It's something that the Honourable Member might want to direct to the correct ministry. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. I now give the floor to the Honourable Muhammadin to ask his question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise before this August House to ask my question 112/2017 under my name. And the question is directed to the Honourable Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts. Can the Minister inform this House as to what are some of the new initiatives in place by the Ministry to strengthen library facilities and services in schools around the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for asking this question. Madam Speaker, it is widely acknowledged that school libraries play a pivotal role to the provision of quality, suitable library resources, reading resources, hence laying the solid foundation for the growth and progress of knowledge-based society. Libraries provide an opportunity for students' holistic growth and development. It provides students open reading vis-a-vis what they get to read during class time, which is more textbook and confined to the textbooks, Madam Speaker. So it also provides an opportunity for students to understand better about the society, about the history of the country, open up to developments around the world, Madam Speaker. So we see library as a very important integral component of the school system, Madam Speaker. If we want to produce products out of our education system, which are not local products, but responsive and to the global situation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, library development in Fiji has evolved and transformed drastically over the last 5 decades. The Ministry of Education, Heritage and Arts, through its library services, has over the past 2 years contributed immensely to the provision of access to information and knowledge to schools, as well as, Madam Speaker, to the few public libraries that we are looking after. As well as we are also supporting some of the libraries looked after by Ministry of Local Government, like the library here in Suva and the library in Nendi. Madam Speaker, we are supporting the libraries through a budgetary allocation. In this financial year, we have been allocated $450,000 to assist in the development of libraries throughout Fiji. And this amount is also directed towards setup of libraries for, in schools. Madam Speaker, since 2014, the Library Service Fiji has been focusing to install proper infrastructure inside the libraries in our schools and to set up advisory services to be carried out in schools, Madam Speaker. Sometime back, Madam Speaker, you would have noted when you and I were in school, in the rural areas, we used to see mobile libraries because schools did not have libraries, dedicated libraries. We have moved away from that, Madam Speaker, now, and we are establishing dedicated library space in schools so that when we provide reading materials, there is a place to store, and there is a place for students to go down and sit and read. And also, we can allow teachers to set up dedicated time in the timetable for library reading, Madam Speaker. Otherwise, us promoting library reading becomes a bit futile because it does not get factored in the timetable because there's no dedicated library. So in this regard, Madam Speaker, we have been promoting schools to construct dedicated library spaces, Madam Speaker. From 2014 till today, a total of 414 school libraries were set up, Madam Speaker. This included 313 setups in primary schools and 96 in secondary schools, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, still in some primary schools in the deep interior, rural and maritime division, still they do not have a dedicated library space. So we are trying to work towards this. I mean, this 313 setups in 2014 is a huge milestone for us, Madam Speaker, noting that we have got about 726 primary schools. So we still have a few schools which do not have a dedicated library space. We are trying our best to do that, Madam Speaker. So over the last 3 years, 313 primary schools we set up new dedicated library space, and 96 secondary schools, a total of 414. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, from last year till today, we had set up 77 ECE library corners, Madam Speaker. We had also, over the past 2 years, done community library meetings, youth center libraries, and also we have set up dedicated library space, library rooms for technical colleges, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have also supported as I alluded to earlier on, the setup of library corners in ECE centers. Till date, we have established 77 ECE centers with a library corner. The library corner includes a steel shelf, reading resources, educational toys, and games. So this has provided an additional support to the ECE teacher in terms of picking up additional resources for student reference. Madam Speaker, we have also encouraged the schools to use 10% of the pre-education grant to buy reading materials and stock up in the libraries. These reading material includes encyclopedia, storybooks, etc. for libraries. In addition, Madam Speaker, we have also assisted schools with building and renovation of library facilities from additional outside the library grant, Madam Speaker. So since 2015 to date, we have spent $432,000 for construction of library rooms outside the library grant, the small grants that we have from the Ministry of Education, Heritage and Arts, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have also working very closely with NGOs and international counterparts in order to strengthen information and knowledge sharing for lifelong learning. In 2016, we collaborated with within the South-South Cooperation Project and JICA to assist our Pacific Island neighbors in development of school libraries by conducting a regional training on basic school library management. In the past 2 years, the library services of Fiji has seen the tremendous effects of networking and partnership with NGOs and international donors to assist the department. In this regard, we have worked very closely with Vision Fiji with the project Read to Lead, Madam Speaker. This project's objective was to ensure that we provide relevant reading materials to all primary schools. So what they've done is, Madam Speaker, they've got a dedicated package of material that is required in a primary school from years 1 to 8. So with the funding from OZAID, we have, through the Read to Lead project, over the past 2 years, we have supplied the package, Madam Speaker. It's a box with the standard reading package for years 9 to 8. 352 schools have been provided with that package, Madam Speaker. And we are looking at completing all the primary schools in the next 2-year time. So, Madam Speaker, this is in detail the kinds of assistance we have provided to our schools and public libraries as well as the local government libraries to ensure that we contribute towards holistic development of our children by encouraging them to undertake open reading. Thank you.
Honorable Manivalu.
Supplementary question, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister for Education provide details of acquisitions of books made of over the last 2 years in school libraries around the country? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, as alluded to, we have been providing reading books, storybooks to libraries, to our schools throughout Fiji. In 2015, we had an allocation of $90,830, which we provided to in terms 1,762 acquisition and 12,296 for accessioning, and we got 32,191, the total cost of 134,000. Now, in 2016, Madam Speaker, we had spent a total of $220,000 to acquire storybooks to provide schools throughout Fiji, Madam Speaker. So you would note, Madam Speaker, that there is a major chunk of acquisition from 1,762 titles in 2015 to 28,000 in 2016. And all these 28,047 titles with a value of 220,000 last year was distributed to all the schools throughout Fiji, Madam Speaker. So you can see the impact that it would have, Madam Speaker, if we have a dedicated library space to hold these books and then allow teachers to timetable and take the children to these libraries and encourage them to read, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nawaikulu.
It's very important now for students to have access to the internet. Can the Honourable Minister advise us that in these 414 schools, they have computers that allow students, not teachers, to have access to the internet for the purpose of research? And if not, will he be looking into that?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, all the urban schools have dedicated computer lab and computers. Most of the rural schools have dedicated computer lab and computers, but there's still some schools in the deep interior and maritime division, particularly primary schools, Madam Speaker, they don't have a computer lab. Some the PCs are in the normal room, and they are dedicated time for children to go and access PC and not only learn Word and Excel, as well as be able to learn how to Google and search for educational material. Progressively, Madam Speaker, when encouraging them to construct a dedicated computer lab, and we are assisting them by 2 ways. One is we are allowing them to save from their free education grant and wire that money towards construction of dedicated computer lab. and we are providing bridging funding. Secondly, Madam Speaker, we have over the last 3 years provided money for construction of a dedicated computer lab. But it will take time, Madam Speaker, because that money, we have a limited amount of money which we are also utilizing to construct quarters in interior where they need quotas, because without quotas you can't post teachers, Madam Speaker. So there is a bit of a constraint, but it will take time. We are working towards ensuring that in the interior schools have enough quotas, a dedicated library, and dedicated computer lab. Some schools, Madam Speaker, we have got the computer and library room merged into one, and therefore it's used for both purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nambolibo.
Madam Speaker, supplementary question. Can the Honourable Minister explain if this ministry assists schools with setup and provisions of library furniture?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, yes, we do, and I want to thank the member for asking this question. We have a dedicated amount of funds where when our library team, Madam Speaker, our library team goes out to set up the library, we also provide furniture. Over the last 2 years, 2015 and 2016, we had supported 210 schools with furniture, special furniture to set up the library. And these are different furniture, not normal table, these are racks, etc., Madam Speaker. In 2015, we assisted 80 primary school and 23 secondary school. In 2016, we assisted 77 primary school and 30 secondary school. So a total of 210 schools were assisted with furniture to set up the library over the last 2 years.
Thank you. Honourable Premson.
Madam Speaker, it's good to strengthen library services, providing facilities and providing books. My question to the Minister is if he can inform this House whether reading is part of the curriculum, and if not, whether the Minister intends to introduce it as part of the curriculum.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, almost from every year, year 1 right up to year 13, we are encouraging as part of the curriculum for students to undertake essay writing research. And in that way, students are in a way forced to go and do open reading, access materials in the library. There are journals, there are newspapers, periodicals, Madam Speaker. So it gets them to go and read library materials. In addition to that, Madam Speaker, in the primary school we have got compulsory journal writing, which is called, where every week a student will be required to write a small piece, which will be assessed by the teacher. So it gives to students, it requires students to definitely go and do open reading, which I categorize as open reading.
Thank you. Honourable Michael.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I'd like to ask the Minister for Education if there are any plans to celebrate World Book Day to complement a library week around schools in Fiji. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Every year we celebrate that throughout Fiji, and in addition to that, we also have library days celebrated throughout Fiji in every town where our library team will visit. They'll have it in the town area somewhere and invite all the school libraries to come with the children, and there will be sponsors there as well with free books to give out. So yes, we will be celebrating.
Thank you, Honourable
Yeah. Can the Minister just confirm to the House that the responsibility given to the librarians in the schools, the librarians are well trained in cataloging and the safekeeping of books and circulation and all that. I say this, Madam Speaker, because in the tourism belt, a lot of books are brought in by tourists, and I was chairman of a school, and I noticed that the books were not properly kept. And I would urge the minister to ensure that management of books is properly structured, i.e. cataloging and things like that. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, yes, I want to assure the Honourable Member that we are also undertaking training of librarians. In fact, a lot of library attendants or library assistants in schools, small but significant number of them are not qualified librarians because, Madam Speaker, the library qualification hasn't been offered that widely for long. It is only recently that USP probably started to offer that qualification maybe about 10, 15 years ago, and FNU started about 4 years ago. So a lot of libraries have a person who are not qualified, doesn't hold a qualification. So for them, for the last 3 years, we've been holding short courses on libraries, cataloging, and how to encourage students to undertake reading, etc. So they are being trained through our library services.
Thank you. Honourable Leader of Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honourable Minister for his answer to the questions. My question to the Honourable Minister is that many of the students who are using these library facilities also have mobile phones. So with the mobile phones, they're texting, and with the texting, your spelling becomes an issue. So my question to the Honourable Minister is, besides these library facilities, what is he putting in place to assist the students with their spelling in the schools?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the two components to Honourable Member's question. One is the issue of texting and spelling, and I do agree with that. That is an issue, and we had some initial discussion with the mobile phone companies of how they could block those kind of words which is not correctly spelled, but we haven't gone through, completed the discussion. So that is something that we're worried about. But the whole issue of vocabulary, comprehension, spelling, that's captured in the language course that we have from years 1 to 13. But again, we need to ensure that encourage students, children at home, etc. So when they converse, when they write, they should use correct spelling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll give the floor to the Honourable Netanyahu to ask his question.
Madam Speaker, I rise to ask question 113 of 2017. The question is directed to the Honourable Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts. There are circumstances in which some students are compelled to drop out of schooling process. Can the Minister inform the House on what the Ministry is doing to identify these students and how is the Ministry planning to assist them? Thank you.
Honourable Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for raising this question. This is something that we have recently discovered, and that is something that we need to now actively examine. With that, Madam Speaker, one of the main things that we have been talking about, our government has been talking about, is accessibility to education. And it is in this regard that we want to, you would have noted, Madam Speaker, I provided statistics in the past about some of the new schools, primary schools and high schools that we've constructed, so that parents don't see accessibility as an issue. In the past, there were parents who were seeing the children had to travel quite a long distance to attend primary school, Madam Speaker, year 1. And you know, sending year 6 children to six-year-old child to go away from home and stay in boarding, that has been an issue, and in some cases had contributed to dropouts. So we were thinking that at least the primary school education should be within the comforts of their own vicinity and home. And it is this regard that we had, over the last so many years, looked at constructing primary schools as closer to where the villages are and homes are. And to the extent that we have schools where the rolls are in the interior, in the deep interior maritime, 20, 21, 22. And we haven't closed those schools because there are still children there, and we don't want to take them and put them in boarding facility. Madam Speaker, we have, since last year, closely been examining, despite all this that we have done to ensure that accessibility to education is not an issue. We've been, for example, providing transportation, providing bus fare subsidy, providing free, no tuition fee, not asking for tuition fee from children, ensuring that at least year one, children do not drop out just because they can't afford to have a meal. With all this, Madam Speaker, we noted that there was some from our PAMI system, Ministry of Education Information System database. What is the situation with regard to students dropping out? Now, from 2016 to 2017, we noted that 1,157 students dropped out. This is from our information system data, who did not move from one year to the other. From the Batawu area, 83 students. From the Dakondrobe district, 80. Eastern, 63. Lotoka Nindi Yesawa, 214. Maduatambua, 115. Nandoga Nobosa, 81. Mosori, 181. Ra, 45. Suba, 297. So a total of 1,157 students, we noted, did not continue. So we kind of, taking into account those who go early, move off to a technical college or universities, separating that data, we still found that these students were dropped out. So we decided that we note that there may be cases like lack of parental or guardian engagement to motivate the children to attend school, or there may be some family issues that probably there's a single parent and wanted the child to stay back home to look after the family, or the child losing interest in schoolwork due to some reasons, or maybe there's a special need of the child that was not accommodated. So we decided to undertake a special call and to meet them face-to-face, funded by ACARE, the Australian Access to Quality Education Program provided us funding this year, to hold face-to-face meeting with these children to see what may be the cause. Speaker, we had two meetings, one in Lautoka and one in Nandi, and I want to note that it was a very good meeting. We had about close to 100 students in both the places, and almost all of them have now volunteered to come back to school, either to high school or to a technical college. And we have made arrangements to look after their educational needs so that they can enter. We have entered the school. We are working very closely with Save the Children to provide them with the necessary resources that they need, to the extent that we have also promised them that we will provide them with uniform should they require. So, Madam Speaker, it's quite promising that we want to hold this workshop, again funded by AGAP, throughout Fiji this year, and get those children back to school. And so that we give them the basic education and skills that will provide them with a opportunity to enter the labor market and have a better life. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Rachel. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Supplementary question to the Minister. Can the Minister provide details of short courses via the campus of Technical College in Fiji? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for asking these questions. As alluded to earlier on, we have also encouraged these students to come and take short courses at the various campuses of our technical college that we have throughout Fiji. Madam Speaker, the short courses that we offer, which does not require any tuition fee. And short courses range from 2 to 4 weeks, are in the area of construction, such as painting, tile laying, bricklaying, engineering, cookery, bakery, patisserie, beauty therapy, agriculture, and garment production. Madam Speaker, we have found there's a huge interest amongst the children to undertake short courses. Not only children who have dropped out of the school system, but also those who left school and have been staying at home. We note that in last year itself, 2016, we had 7,190 students. 7,190 students who came and undertook short courses at our various campuses. In the Nandroga Novosa Provincial Council campus, we had 330 students who undertook short course last year. At the Rakiraki campus, we had 113 students who did short course there. At the Tangitangi campus, we had another 113 students who did short course there. At the Bua campus, we had 103 students who did short course there last year. At the Wani Koro campus, we had 51 students who did short course there. At the Nagua campus, we had 294. At the Suva campus, the textiles and hospitality campus at the Robertson Road, we had 987 students who did short course there last year. At the Nambua Sanatan campus, we had 1,229 students did short course there. At the Lambasa campus, we had 481 students who did short course there last year. At the Nasuri campus, we had 568 students who did short course. At the Lotoka campus, we had 1,024 students. And the Neni campus, we had the largest number of students who did short course, 1,897 students, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, this again is one way of getting the students who have dropped out, encouraging them to come and undertake short course and upskill themselves into any of these trade area, and then we encourage them to enter the labor market and get a better livelihood, Madam Speaker. So this is the way to dealing with raising the income profile rather than artificially looking at minimum wage which someone has been arguing for. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Dalakiraka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question.
Can the Honourable Minister advise this House how many school dropouts you have in a year?
Madam Speaker, I just mentioned earlier on that we had about 1,100 dropouts that we saw who dropped out but did not come back to either technical college or any vocational program or the university programs. So we are now going around. We have done Latoka and Nendi and encouraged them, and I think all of them have said that they will come back in term 2, or some of them will join when the next trimester starts for the technical college. And we are working with Save the Children to see how we could provide them with the resources that they require to come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Leader of Opposition.
Madam Speaker, supplementary question.
Supplementary
In terms
question.
of school dropouts, Madam Speaker, which the Honourable Minister had mentioned, 1157 students dropping out. We know that students start dropping out at year 2. So in terms of identifying these students early, what type of counselling facilities or programs are there available in the ministry to identify at-risk and high-risk students, to offer them interventions to prevent them on this downward spiral where they will drop out of school? So the early interventions at-risk and high-risk students.
Thank you. Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, Honourable Member is talking about at-risk students. Now, in a school system, if students do come forward with any particular problem, then the school do have a database of students who have some kind of issues or problem. We could assist the schools to further pursue if these students need any particular assistance. but the dropout data is obtained the following year when we see that they are not continuing. But with respect to going back to the question about at-risk student, the only database we have at the school is when there's some issues, problems, then the school do note down and keep a list of those students and do counseling and do support them. So that particular database could be collected and seen if they would need any support at the national level.
Thank you, Honorable Noikul.
Dropouts is a very big number, especially when you have free this and free that, and you can take parents into account. And the Honourable Minister had stated that he had, his ministry has consulted them. Could he advise this House what were the reasons for such a big number?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, 1,157 over 226,000 students is 0.0005%, Madam Speaker. So he's saying it's a big number. It's a big number. 0.05% for him is a big number. This is the quality of lawyer we have on the other side. Madam Speaker, I just told him that we are now going around examining what is the issue and how we can bring them back. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. You didn't listen to my presentation. Read the Hansard tomorrow.
Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a supplementary question to the Honourable Minister. We've heard a lot of initiatives being taken in the meetings, 2 meetings that we had. Can the Minister advise this House whether he's considering providing homeschooling program to these affected students and provide them with online gadgets so they can do their classroom activities from home?
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, we have got a massive infrastructure out there throughout Fiji. I mean, it's not like Australia and New Zealand where we've got 2 large islands, and all schools are there. Our schools are throughout Fiji. The reason why we've got schools right in the interior and maritime division is that we want to provide accessibility to education to these children. Now, that is the infrastructure we want to use to educate these children. Now, going to homeschooling, Madam Speaker, that's the responsibility of parents to provide homeschooling. Not us, Madam Speaker, but we are trying to identify the children who may have problems. And at the moment we finish Lautoka in India, we're going to do that throughout Fiji and see what the issues are and how we could support them. Support them using NGOs, using our resources to bring them back to school. Whether they are not, if they're not interested in the higher education stream, we can take them to into the technical stream.
Thank you, Honourable William Haruka.
Madam Speaker, I continue to be intrigued by a number of factors. One, there's high unemployment. 2, we are importing a lot of basic skills. And 3, what are the technical colleges producing to fill this skill gap that we are importing? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I don't know where this figure he is throwing saying high unemployment. What is high unemployment? Where's your data? Wait. No, what's the data? Madam Speaker, why don't you throw out data? What's the data? What is high unemployment? What is high? What is high? So this is, Madam Speaker, this is the problem with the other side. They don't have data, they'll start making all kinds of general comments, generalizations. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, at the technical college, Madam Speaker, at the technical college, as the Honourable Member has asked, we are providing technical education in the areas of construction, engineering, hospitality, garment. So we've got several programs in each of these mainstream areas and targeting to upskill them. And we have produced a large number of students who came out, not only a short course, but the one-year award program at the PACDET Certificate 2 level in electrical, mechanical, auto, in the area of engineering, construction, carpentry and joinery, and baking and patisserie, and also garment and textiles, Madam Speaker. All of them, once they finish, quite readily they are able to get into the labor market. Thank you.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad to ask his question. Oh, that has been asked. Thank you. This is the confusion between this one and the initial one, because she was not supposed to be here in the initial. But honorable members, thank you very much. Since we have just very few minutes left, we can break for lunch now, we will suspend these proceedings. Please note that lunch is provided for honorable members in the big committee room. And honorable members of the committee, of the business committee, are reminded of our meeting in the small committee room. Parliament will resume proceedings at 2:30 p.m.